that's green in summer, full of flowers and shady trees. It's a place that's full of history, and it has a future too. It's Ashland, Massachusetts, a town for me and you.
Welcome to Ashland's Chronicle. Today we have Bruce Scotland here, and he's got a lot to say. We're going to find out. Bruce has been in Ashland forever, and has done things forever for Ashland and for the country and for the state and for everyone else. He's a great guy, one of my favorite people here in Ashland, and we're going to start right now.
Thank
Bruce.
you very much. Thank you very, very much for the introduction. Not forever. I was 8 when I moved to Ashland. But that's almost forever.
Yeah, that's great. And at 8, you must have been ready to go to school.
I was in 4th grade.
Yeah.
4th grade it started in Ashland.
Yeah, great. And do you remember what school that was at the time?
There was only one school. That was on Central Street. And that school was the first 8 grades was a cement building, but the high school, which was attached to it, was a wooden building.
Wow. Wow, I didn't even know that.
Oh yes, it's quite a building.
Yeah.
Quite a building.
Wow. And so you went all the way through there.
All the way.
Did you graduate? Did you go through a graduation ceremony there too?
Yes, we did. We did a graduation. And we also, our senior year, we had our class play, but that was up at the town hall.
Wow.
Which was, it's still the same building, but it's been modified.
Yeah. Did you do it upstairs, way upstairs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Up on the 2nd floor.
Yeah.
That was quite a building.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was against renovating it. I wanted it torn down and a brand new building put up. But, you know, I'm glad that whoever made the decision went along with renovating that. It feels good.
Well, basically, it's still the same structure, the same. As you go into the building itself, you have the stairways that went all the way up.
Yeah.
And that brings back so many memories. But then at the very top, it was but one big open floor with a men's restroom and rest area on the right as you went up, and the women's on the left. It was quite a place. And then they had a big stage in the back, and all the high school plays were there. Of course, it was used for a lot of other things as well.
Yeah, I heard they had Saturday night dances.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And they also, that's where all the voting was done.
Wow, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, all the voting was done.
Wow. Well, you've had a lot to do with our voting, counting ballots and all the things that had done along with it. When did you start that?
I started it, I think I've been doing it a minimum of 55 years that I have been working at the polls. And I've enjoyed it. We started at the town hall with big ballots that were this wide.
Wow.
And it had multiple folds in them. And you had to fold the piece of paper so you could do this line. Then you unfolded it to do the next line. And then you reversed it. And each time you had to put it on a rack. There was 50 ballots on a rack. And you had to take it apart and put it back together again to finish it.
Wow.
It took a lot of time. As a matter of fact, many of the elections, especially the presidential election, we would be there at 2 o'clock in the morning finishing up. And the candidate has either won or succeeded and gave up, and you knew about it couple hours before we were finished counting the ballots. But that's the way it was back then.
Yeah.
It was a... And then, of course, we went to the, I guess you call it the Chads and Dimples, the beginning of the computer age where you had the piece of paper and you punched holes in it, and then you took it up to Fenwall, and they run it through their machines. I guess it was called Chads and Dimples, because there was always sticky things that didn't come off right, and they wanted to make sure the ballots were counted right and all. They had some real problems down in Florida, as I remember.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Almost changed the outcome. Wish it had.
Well, what has been in the past is not going to happen again.
No, we hope anyhow.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Then you must have started as a poll worker while you were still in high school.
No, I was out of high school.
Okay.
I was out of high school. I was at least in the 20s.
Okay. Yeah.
I was in the 20s. I almost want to think, I can't remember. I think it was back in 56, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be off a year or two, but I think it was 1956 that I started in that area.
Wow.
But,
Wow. Who was running for president about then?
Oh, oh,
That's a mean one. I don't remember either.
Eisenhower?
Probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's about then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kennedy came along a little later.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah. Wow.
Of course, I had to get out of the service. The war had to end and all of that, so it had to have been after 45, and I think it was probably in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right. I shouldn't have pulled that on you.
Oh, hey, that's the way it goes. The memory isn't always that great anyway.
Well, neither is mine. And other people, at least we have one thing in common. We see other people who have worse memory.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And those people you feel sorry for.
Yeah.
I have grown, I was working up at WACA Farm. My father was the fruit grower up at WACA Farm. That was located right beyond Northeastern. And back in those days, during the war, WACA Farm had its own little class. All the farm workers worked and lived right at WACA Farm. We worked for a multimillionaire. He lived in the mansion that is still there. But he was an invalid. And in his mansion, every Saturday evening during World War II, he had current movie seats, and we had current movies every Saturday night.
At the farm?
At the farm, down in the basement of his mansion. And if you remember, the eyes and ears of the world are upon you. And Lowell Thomas would be so many times doing a lot of the narrative news of the war. And it was just fantastic. We had our own electricity system. We had our own cows and dairy. We had that. We raised pigs. We raised cows. We had all of those things. We didn't have 10 cents in our pocket.
Yeah.
Very few people did. My father is a fruit grower. They had over 500 acres of fruit trees. but he also, everybody had a victory garden in their home. Well, he had a big victory garden that they used to bring the vegetables that they raised into Boston.
Wow.
Into Boston, to the markets and to the government, of course. But it was just a different type of living. You did everything in your own community, except go to school. We did have a school bus that came and picked us kids up, but it was a great country, a great time to be alive, except for the war.
Yeah.
But,
I was busy wearing a uniform at that time, but I do remember the newsreels because I did get to the movies once in a while. As a matter of fact, I was lucky. I spent a good part of the war in Europe, in Paris, and the military took over the civilian theaters. And we, all the Allied forces actually could go. And I can still remember going to the movies with a lot of British and a lot of people wearing our uniform, but from different nationalities. And I can remember one time I was in line with some, what on earth do they call it? I don't know. They were from Israel, but they were, I guess they were called Palestine. I don't know. They carried the name Palestine or something like that. But they were British soldiers, from that area, and they were especially, they recognized my facial features or something. So they were
Sure.
they were anxious to talk to us, and but I at that time it didn't mean a lot to me.
Right.
It was interesting, but other than that,
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
and but I saw a lot of movies, and as a matter of fact, I can remember one time I saw something that took my attention, and when when the movie was over, and when the lights went on, I didn't know where I was. I actually thought I was back home.
Wow.
And that was amazing. I wish I remember what movie that was. But,
Talking about back in those days, I had the great experience this past Sunday of a once-in-a-lifetime trip. You may have heard of Honor Flight. Honor Flight is an organization that is privately funded from donations from companies, from individuals that have sent and are sending veterans. They started with World War II veterans. Now they're working on what's left of the World War II veterans and the Korean, and they're also taking the Vietnam veterans on a trip to Washington, D.C. It's a one-day trip. You have to be in Boston at 5:45 in the morning, which is a little early.
Yeah.
Makes you get up at 4 o'clock. You meet at the State Police Barracks, Troop 7. And there you board buses. You are transported to the airport by police escort. You go through every stop sign, every red light, everybody, they're all stopped along the way by other policemen. And you get to the airport, and there are 40 to 50 people outside waiting. They may be firemen, they may be policemen, they may be just plain people. They're all, the firemen and the police, they are saluting you, all the veterans. And then you walk into the gate that you're going to go to, and because they have already put you through security. There is no security stop for us unless there's somebody that has a problem. And there you are greeted by another couple hundred people. It's unbelievable. Then we had breakfast. Then we boarded a plane, got off, landed in Baltimore. We're pulling up to our gate in the plane. We see a couple fire trucks on either side of us, and they're shooting water all over the plane, welcoming us. We get out again. We have many people to shake hands with and say thank you, and they're saying thank you for your service. Then we board buses and we travel to Washington, D.C. Again, this is all under the leadership of the police. There's a motorcycle that is escorting us. There's another police car that is blocking traffic. He's blocks traffic for us. Then he gets, and he's behind us, and he passes us on the side, and he in turn gets to the next light and makes sure there's no cars coming, and away we go. We never stopped until we got to World War II Memorial.
My goodness.
And let me tell you, that is a memorial that is outstanding in beauty. It deserves every picture that was taken, and there were thousands taken that day of that place. I took, throughout the pictures today, Sunday, I took 70 pictures. And I'm having a problem even remembering which one they were because they're all so beautiful. But throughout the day, just to give you an idea, and this is not in the order they were, but we went to the Korean Monument. We went to Vietnam. We went by the White House. We went by Lincoln Memorial. As a matter of fact, when you're at the World War II Memorial, you can see the Lincoln Memorial to the north, and you can see Washington Monument in the south. You're within distance of seeing these places alive. Then we went to the Navy Memorial, which I never knew there was a Navy Memorial. I didn't know there was an Air Force Memorial. But they're all so outstanding and such beautiful. Then as we're going by the Pentagon, we saw where the plane had crashed. You could see the difference in the color of the cement of the buildings. We went by, I can't remember the exact name of the river where the plane was crashed and all of the people were saved. That landed in the water.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I can't remember the name of the water, the river. But then we went by and they showed us the Watergate Hotel. Oh, everybody remembers that. We went by the Iwo Jima statue. Unbelievable. Then we went and saw the changing of the guards at the cemetery. What an honor it was to see those people in their uniforms. It's 90 degrees out and humid, and they're on their hour shift. They change every hour. And what a ceremony that is. It's unbelievable.
Is that the Arlington National Cemetery?
Arlington National Cemetery.
My goodness.
It sure is. And I have to say, I'm probably out of order in saying this, but you know, there was, in our group, there was a total of about 150 people. There were 60 veterans. Each veteran has a guide, and the guide is there to make sure that no veteran falls. Remember, we're not kids anymore. And so But we had our oldest person, veteran, was 97 years old. Our youngest was in the late 60s. And every one of these had a person. I had a lovely young lady, I'll tell you. She was beautiful. I was hoping that we'd have to stay overnight because of bad weather or something of that nature. But those things don't happen.
I know.
A lot of good that would do her, I'll tell you. But to go some of these, I had never been to Washington, D.C. to any great degree. I had gone once when we were traveling down to South Carolina to go golfing. And we stopped in Washington, D.C. about 5 o'clock in the morning. And I saw the Lincoln Memorial, I saw the Vietnam Memorial, and I saw the White House. And that's all we saw because we were out of there in an hour because we had to get to where we were going. But today, just Sunday, just going by, they stopped, they showed us some of the Smithsonian buildings. All of these things were so very much. But as I said, everybody had a guide and every veteran had a wheelchair. Now, they say the average group that goes down of veterans, 30% of them use wheelchairs. Not because necessity, but sometimes because it's a long walk. When they were, for example, when we were going to go to the Vietnam Memorial, there was a lot of walking, and they had it mandatory that each veteran be in a wheelchair. And the guide was there to push you. They didn't have the wheels on the outside, so you couldn't even help. They were all hidden, so. But this is available to every veteran that has been in during the World War II or during the Korean conflict or during the Vietnam. And it's free of charge. I cannot help but hope that some of you people would be interested in going. Go up to the Senior Center. They have literatures up there for everybody. They also, throughout the entire day, we were police escorted all the way. Always a motorcycle. And I'll tell you, he was as much fun as anybody could be as well. What a great personality, what great help. And you don't have to worry, folks. You are fed. You are fed morning, noon, night, and then some. And we had a great dinner at a great hotel. A nice turkey dinner with the zucchini, with the stuffing, with apple pie for dessert, the whole 9 yards. But I seriously hope that some of you will take advantage of what is out there and go up and apply. When I applied, they were still working on World War II vets, but they are getting farther and farther apart. They're passing on. You will not have to wait the 2 years that I did to get an invite, but you will get an invite, and it's well worth it. Thanks for letting me just say that, and I'll tell you, I think anybody should. And I hope you're going to do it.
I will do it. I've known about it, but I've been afraid to do it for the simple reason I just didn't know whether physically I could handle it. I'm afraid to fly commercially because of the difficulties.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. As I said, there were some fellows that could not get out of the wheelchair. They had to be lifted physically onto the bus. They are so prepared for that, it's unreal. They take a person out of their wheelchair and get them on the bus. And there is no embarrassment or anything of that nature. It's done automatic.
Fantastic.
It's automatic.
Fantastic.
And they're always making sure you're hydrated. Have some more water, have some more water. I'll tell you, it is one great day. Do it.
Yeah, oh yeah, and I hope that a lot of people in Ashland, and we get a lot of veterans here in Ashland.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I hope that they will take advantage of it. It sounds too good to give up.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Yeah. I've been to Washington a few times, and I always feel like I'm walking in the footsteps of our history every time. It's an inspiring city on its own.
I'll tell you, the American people that were out there for the veterans made tears come to our eyes, I'll tell you right now. And you know what? I was in the forgotten war. You're not forgotten anymore.
Yeah, great.
You're not forgotten.
Great.
And it's something. Martin, do it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it, and I hope a lot of people will join us. Well, this has been an exciting day. Finally, we tried to do this a few months ago, and the soundtrack all fouled up. And then I got sick, and I've been in and out of the hospital a lot. And finally, we're here to do it again. And
well, you know, I'm sort of glad now that it got delayed, because I had something that I wanted to say to all the vets.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. But I thank you so much for having me on. It's been a fantastic day.
Yeah, we're going to have to get you back in, because you have a tremendous background that we need to talk about. You haven't just been a bump on the wall. You've been very, very active here as an individual and as a member of the community. And,
well, thank you very much. I tell you, I enjoy working up the senior center. I do everything from setting up tables to picking up groceries a couple days a week, and helping wherever I can.
Yeah, and you sure do. And
it keeps you active.
Yes.
And busy is good.
Yes.
Busy is good.
Yeah, I don't believe in retirement, and in a way, I was looking forward to it, because well, it's a long story, but once I actually tried retirement, I didn't like it. I didn't like the feeling. I didn't like to tell people I was even retired, and yet I was.
Well, I tell you, I want to say thank you so very much for this wonderful, wonderful day, and thanks you people for watching.
And thank you for being here and for being Bruce Scotland.
Well, sometimes I don't stop talking, but
we're going to have to.
we're going to have to.
There's a town up in New England that is great for families. A place that's green in summer, full of flowers and shady trees. It's a place that's full of history, and it has a future too. It's Ashland, Massachusetts, a town for me and you. For sports we have the Clockers.